Hello, good evening. Welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live when news up here at Desawe Kanda. Also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. Coming up this evening, Presidency dismisses reports of politically motivated changes within the Ghana Army. A hierarchy ahead of the December 7 general elections. Also, with barely 11 months to the general elections, latest survey by the Global Info Analytics predicts a one-touch victory for the NDC's John Dramani Mahama. We'll delve into the details of this latest from the Global Info Analytics, also indicating that there will be a one-touch victory for John Dramani Mahama come December 7, 2024 elections. Also, the Ayawaso West Wogo New Patriotic Party aspirant Kwabena Owusu Amankwa appeals a disqualification as vetting ends in the Greater Accra region today. We have the details plus the latest in business, sports and entertainment coming up over the next 60 minutes here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're also live all across the world on 3news.com. We're streaming live on Facebook at 3FM 927, also on X at 3FM 927. Let's get talking.
3FM 92.7.
Let's get into the details now here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Let's begin with a statement coming from the presidency a couple of hours ago. The presidency has downplayed reports of changes to the hierarchy of the Ghana Armed Forces. The presidency also denied reports that these changes are politically motivated, aimed at using soldiers to brutalize citizens during the 2024 polls. In a statement, Director of Communications at the presidency, UGIN, said that presidency does not intend to make any politically motivated changes, as claimed by some Ghanaians on social media. The publication alleges that a meeting was held at the presidency on Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024, to discuss the so-called politically motivated changes in the Ghana Armed Forces. The statement notes, however, that the said meeting took place but not to discuss changes to the top hierarchy, but for the security heads to give their Christmas compliments to the president. It concluded that any change in the leadership of the Ghana Armed Forces is embarked upon by the president in accordance with the constitution and well-established conventions devoid of any political considerations. Earnestly, this reputation by ensuring that partisanship is eschewed from the operations of the Ghana Armed Forces. And this is a statement that came through not too long ago from the presidency, and it's something that we're keeping a close eye on as well, especially coming on the back of the widespread reports of these reported changes at the top hierarchy of the Ghana Armed Forces.
3FM 92.7.
Let's get into some of the issues now. A survey conducted by the Global Info Analytics reveals flag bearer of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, is leading the New Patriotic Party's flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, in the 2024 elections. The polls has the NDC flag bearer, John Mahama, leading in all regions except the Northeast region. Now, this is one thing that has generated a lot of conversation, especially because of the number of months we have ahead of election 2024 and matters arising. But the specific detail of this survey also does put John Dramani Mahama ahead in 15 out of the 16 regions, except the Northeast region. Now, Mustafa Bande is Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, is joining us on the telephone for a quick conversation on this, and will be joined shortly by my colleague Dennis Barberi Wadam, will run through the just a summary of the survey as we have it. Dennis, what have we seen, and what is the Global Info Analytics saying?
Well, Alfred, interesting revelations by the latest poll by Info Analytics, showing us for the first time some interesting developments in some constituencies or regions that are traditionally known to belong to some parties. So if you don't mind, I'll just run you quickly through some of the findings that have been made in that respect. So yes, we are beginning with the... Oh, let me pull that up. pull that up really
Right.
quickly.
While you do that, let me just get to Mustafa Gbande, who's connecting with us, Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. Mustafa, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Good evening, Alfred, and thank you for having me. Happy New Year.
Many happy returns to you.
3FM.
Now, we're seeing the latest survey by the Global Info Analytics putting John Dramani Mahama, the flag bearer of your party, ahead of Dr. Mahmoud Bamian, 15 out of the 16 regions. That's the number of the respondents to the survey that they conducted as well. How does this get to you as a party?
Thank you very much. That is commendable. That is good news for us in the NDC. That reflects the mood of the country and reflects the expectations of the people of Ghana. Given the current circumstances that we find ourselves in, the level of pervasive corruption, non-performance, the rate at which government has promised Ghanaians with high hopes only to turn out that it was all a social fraud to secure the power of the people. The level at which arrogance and impunity is being displayed by appointees of government. The rate at which our democracy and the fundamental pillar of that democracy, which is the rule of law, has been turned upside down under a supposed lawyer. For me, reflect the report and reflect the results of the report. But again, let me emphasize that it is an election, and the NDC would not rest until it secures, protects, and defends the will of the people. The will of the people is for a change in government, a change that will better reflect their aspirations, a change that will seek the interests of Ghanaians, a change that will create jobs for the people, a change that will deal with the deficit in our medical infrastructure, a change that will reflect a reduction in corruption, a fight against corruption in public sector, a fight against public resources being shared among family members and appointees, which is what you see under Akufo-Addo and under his government. That is the change Ghanaians want, and the NDC will put itself. We have always done so, and once again will put itself in that position under the leadership and the presidency of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to ensure that that aspiration is met. That a university graduate should be able to walk into an environment created by government and to get a job. That my mother in the village should once again go to the hospital holding a hospital card under the National Health Insurance and get a medical treatment. Today, as we speak, the National Health Insurance has pulled up.
But Mustafa, there are some deductions in this survey which, in acknowledging that indeed, yes, it excites you as a party, yes, you're not going to sleep on it, take into consideration a number of things. And at this point, I welcome Dennis Miracles Aboaje, who's also joining us for a quick conversation on this. Dennis, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello, Dennis, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear Alfred.
Great. Now, Mustafa, take into consideration the timing of this this survey between the 22nd and 30th of December 2023. That's number one. And the survey encompassed just 5,881 respondents across the 16 regions and 82 constituencies. I mean, if you take that sample size into consideration, would you say that it is a representation of the entire sentiments and as it were, expressions of the Ghanaian people?
Well, technically, polls catalog strong feelings and opinions of people, largely in this country and our election. Polls from credible institutions have come to pass, just as prophecies come to pass. the NDC acknowledges the results of the polls, but our winning is grounded on hard work that we are putting in place, grounded on the fact that we are going to defend the vote of the Ghanaians. We are going into an election. We expect that on any day, Ghana, where we have reached, should have a credible, transparent, free, and fair election. And we are confident that, given the circumstance we find ourselves, if a free and fair election is organized today, we'll see His Excellency John Dramani Mahama as the next president of Ghana. Let me also add that even if we don't have the benefit of a transparent election, the NDC is currently in the position to protect and defend the vote of Ghanaians casted in its favor to ensure that a next government is formed by the NDC. It is widespread. It is open knowledge that President Akufo-Addo's regime is corrupt. It is open knowledge that when they told the Ghanaian people that they will give them one district, one factory, one village, one dam, one constituency, $1 million, that was fraud. I dare the Vice President, His Excellency Mahmoud Bawumia, to mount a podium to publicly account for the whereabouts of the one village, one dam. And he would have proved us wrong. As we speak, they know that it is fraud. They know that it is not existing. As we speak today, the priority of every Ghanaian is health care. The national health insurance have collapsed. The MPP knows that. Government appointees know that.
So if you say that the national insurance scheme has collapsed, that means that when you turn up at the hospital, it will not be accepted?
It can't even give you a common paracetamol to take. You cannot get. I'm speaking to your listeners, and they attest to the fact that what we are saying is a reality. I'll have my brother Miracle Abwaji come to defend all of it. But when the fundamentals are weak, the reality will expose you. It is only under His Excellency Nanado that we benefited under a pandemic, and that benefit went into the pocket of individual appointees at the expense of Ghanaians who have lost their lives, at the expense of Ghanaians who have lost their businesses, at the expense of Ghanaians who have suffered under that pandemic. It is under Akufo-Addo, a man who has failed to protect the public purse, a man who has exposed our national resources to most of his appointees to loot and take home for free. President Akufo-Addo.
So don't lose sight of the fundamental indications of this conversation. Mustafa, hold on a bit for me. Let me bring in Dennis on this. Dennis, the specific instance here is about this Global Info Analytics survey. I don't know if you've seen it, but I'm just going to round it up for you. Essentially, this survey conducted between the 22nd and 30th of December 2023 captured the responses of some 5,881 persons across the 16 regions and 82 constituencies of the country, providing a comprehensive, snapshot of the evolving political landscape. And essentially, the outcome indicated, per the Global Info Analytics survey, that John Mahama had some 53.2% of the prospective votes, as again your candidate, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, trailing with 29.6%. Of the prospective votes of these respondents. Your take on this?
Well, Alfred, I think that for us, our position on polls, we think that polls can be skewed. It can be done well, it can be done wrongly, and it will all be right. It always depends on who is doing the polls in the first place. So who is doing the polls matters. And secondly, who the pollster is speaking to and where also matters. Sometimes even the time even matters. But whatever it is, polling is something you pick and read, and then you pick insights from where do not pay too much attention to the figures and the statistics. I mean, you always know our position on this. We will read the commentary, read the issues, but the statistics really don't matter. I mean, what was the sample size again? You said 5,000 out of 82 or so constituencies. I mean, somebody could just go and do 11 of those constituencies from the Volta region and do maybe 4 from the OT region, that alone will give you 15. And straight away you know where the sentiment will go.
We're talking about 5,881 respondents.
Exactly. I mean, we're talking about 17 million voters, or thereabouts, And somebody could also go to the Ashanti region and go and pick 30 of the constituencies from the Ashanti region and go to Eastern region and pick 20 from there. And straight away, you know what the sentiment will be. So the numbers really do not matter much to us in these votes. What matters is that what are the sentiments, what are the commentary. Those are the things we would read, and then we would also put in a litmus test, identify where we think the gaps are. And then, of course, we have a long 11 months to elections. In politics, one day makes a lot of difference. And then where we need to improve, we improve. Where we need to consolidate, we'll consolidate. Where we need to work on, we'll work on. I mean, there are several surveys we see every day. We receive survey reports from several institutions every day, and they all say different things, at different times. They all give different indications at different times. And we are taking all of them on board without any disregard for any of them.
Talk about sentiments, because that's one thing you just mentioned. The survey also has a breakdown, compartmentalizes the responses of these respondents who were surveyed into a number of subtopics. So national sentiment is one of them. Under it says, a prevailing sentiment of disillusionment is evident, with a staggering 68% of the Ghanaians who responded to this survey expressing concerns about the nation's trajectory. Concurrently, a majority of 63% disapprove of the incumbent president's performance. That's on sentiments, Dennis.
Yeah, I mean, like 5,000 people sentiment from some 82 constituencies thereabout, out of 70 million. We still have work to do. When you are a government in power, you never stop working until your last day. And these sentiments are not static. They always move and change. And so let's wait and see. Like I said, we're always receiving survey reports. We work with all of them. Info Analytics is not the lord of surveys in Ghana. They are not the lords of views in Ghana. There are other several institutions that are also undertaking surveys. Some of them vary completely from statistics that is being generated by Info Analytics. But we would nevertheless disregard any polling. We would still work with it. I don't think that if today you go onto the streets, what Info Analytics report is saying is what you will find. That cannot be correct. Because the people of Ghana, I had my brother say plenty of things, and sometimes they feel that we have very short memories and we cannot recall where we have come from. Like I said before, going into 2024 elections, the people of Ghana are going to evaluate where we have come from and where we are at the moment and where we are envisaged to go, taking into consideration all the elements, all the indicators, and then take a decision that between the MPP and NDC, who, in the current circumstance, which is contextualized, you realize that there's a global phenomenon happening, which every country is going through their own, and who, between these two political parties, could lead this country and sail us through these global challenges that we are all facing. I keep telling you, if we take sector by sector, except for the macro economy, which obviously is being impacted by the global macroeconomic disruption, there is no sector and the NDC can tell us they've done better than us. It's sometimes laughable when you hear the NDC think that they are going to come to power on the back of enumerating things that they think a government has not done. I have a list of close to about 700 promises that the NDC have in their manifestos, which they could not implement when they were in power. Today you hear the NDC and their flag bearer walk around, and they repeat the same promises they made in 2012, for which reason they were given power in 2012 and couldn't deliver until 2016, and they are repeating the same promises. They are repeating the same promises they made to teachers. They are repeating the same promises they made to doctors. In fact, they are repeating the same promises they made in terms of how they will turn around the economy. I hear about 24-hour economy. They mentioned it in their previous manifestos. How come they did not implement them? And so the people of Ghana are going to look at all of this. Fortunately, the NDC are presented to us a candidate that has been president before. And if we talk about corruption, this is a candidate that has been personally cited in corruption. not his appointees. He himself personally cited in corruption issues. There is his own Attorney General. His own Attorney General, Martin Amidu, indicated that at some point the president, who then he was a vice president to, instituted an investigation against him, the vice president. He himself has been cited in directly receiving gifts that are attributed to be bribes as a certain president. So when we get there, we are going to talk about all of these things. I can see that they're already out there on the streets. We wish them well. They should continue with the premature ejaculations. I'm sorry if the children are not sleeping. But very soon we would begin to deal with these issues. And I'm sure the people of Ghana are not so forgetful, to understand that. But for the NPP, over 100,000 Ghanaians will be on the street every year, dropping us from senior high school. To understand that, but for the NDC, tomorrow, some parents will be sitting by the roadside and watching other kids go to school and their children are unable to go to senior high school. The people of Ghana recognize that. Today, it's on national health insurance. And here you are, as I speak to you, if you don't have a national health insurance card, just pick your phone and you get a card right now to be able to access health care. But for the MPP, this will not be done. So instead of them coming to tell us that when they had the opportunity to come to power, these were the things that they were able to do, they are now talking about the things that they think the NPP could not do, for which reason, in their view, automatically bring them to power. That is very laughable.
Okay.
We are dealing with the issues that goes to directly impact the communities, directly impact the lives of our people in the localities. And very soon when we begin to unveil them and people begin to talk about them, that is when the NDC will realize that they are living in a different paradise altogether from reality.
Well, in the end, it will still be in the mandate of the Ghanaian people to decide what next to do.
Absolutely.
But I thank you for joining us.
Absolutely, thank you.
That's Dennis Miracle Sabuaji is on Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's team. And Mustafa, so the quick one. 11 months, they say, is too long. In fact, it's enough time, according to Dennis, to change the sentiments of these people who responded to this particular survey. And that's the hope that this government is having. Is it enough to change the experiences of the Ghanaian people over the last 7 years?
Well, I didn't expect anything different from my brother because it has always been the case. So, because the pool reflects their defeat, they will discredit it, they will disagree with it. But he is not talking about the recent assembly elections when the electorate, the same electorate, this case is not 5,800, it is Ghanaian people who went to vote. They rejected the government. They rejected pro-MPP assembly members. NDC is currently controlling almost all constituencies, districts across the country. It's a reflection that Ghanaians are tired of corruption. He is talking about promises made by the NDC in opposition. He is not talking about when the government promised the people food, came to power and actually stole what the Ghanaian people have. My brother Dennis and the NPP cannot exonerate the current government, the vice president and the president, from the fact that they have not stolen from the Ghanaian people. He accuses President Mahama of having been, an investigation having been instituted. Who told him that the NDC will not institute immediately an investigation against the current vice president and leader of the MPP for the loans that were collected for one village, one dam, which were never done? Who told him that will not do that?
Okay.
So the Ghanaian people will speak at the end of the tunnel.
Indeed.
All the NDC is saying is that we will continue to work with the Ghanaian people. We will continue to partner with the Ghanaian people, finding lasting solutions to their problems, building trust for governance again when the wind of change is going to blow finally. Take these people out of government so that Ghana can rest. Currently, as we speak, our current country is suffocating. Our economy is suffocating because we have leeches who are benefiting and sucking the blood of our nation. Mustafa, and those leeches are led by His Excellency Akufo-Addo.
Well, thank you. And we'll see. We are in this year, by the end of the year, the Ghanaian people would be better placed to decide what the next
very
phase
much.
will be. I appreciate your time as always. Mustafa Gbande is the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. Dennis Miracles Obaji as well is on the that's Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia campaign team. Dennis Poaberi Wedam is my colleague here at Media General. He's been looking into the aspects of this survey. Well, let's just lay the foundation beyond what I've just said about the sample size and so on. There's a lot more detail that gives at least some context to this, is it not?
Yes. So, like I was saying, interesting revelations here. So the polls put John Mahama in the lead. That is to say that the respondents have said that supposing that they were going to polls, John Mahama would lead with some 53.2%, while Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia would come with 29.6%. Former Trade and Industry Minister Alan Kojo Chomanteng, with his Movement for Change, would come with 7.7%. And then nearly 2.4% of the voters intend to vote for other candidates, while 5.3% are undecided. Now, there was this part that focused on only first-time voters. That is to say, 2024 will be the first time they'll be casting ballots in the national election. So in that respect, John Dramani Mahama leads with 50% of the votes. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia with 25%. Alan Chomanteng with 8%. 7% intend to vote for other candidates and 9% are undecided. Now, in what appears to be a new development in the poll, John Dramani Mahama leads in the Ashanti region and then the Eastern region. We do know that these two regions are traditionally MPP strongholds. There's never been a point in history where NDC won in those regions. But this poll is showing that John Dramani Mahama would lead in those two regions. That's Ashanti region and the Eastern region.
Ashanti and Eastern region.
Yes. And there's even a reason attributed to that. And the
What's
reason
that?
being that the MPP's poor performance may reflect growing concern about voter apathy in those regions. There was also a question that was asked as to whether voters would choose 24-hour economy or blue economy, blue or the digitalization, or the Great Transformational Plan, GTP, which is for Alan Chomanteng. Of those options, approximately 50% chose the 24-hour economy, which is obviously for John Mahama. 25% chose the blue economy, which is for Bawumia. And then 8% chose GTP. 17% said none of them. Now, on direction of the country, the poll shows that 68% of Ghanaians believe that the country is headed in the wrong direction, compared to 22% who believe that it is headed in the right direction. 10% said they did not have any opinion on that particular instance. On the performance of the president, it's also put on the line for consideration. The poll shows that 63% of voters disapproved of the president's performance, compared to 32% who approved of his performance, and 5% did not have an opinion in the matter. Now, prospective voters were also asked to describe their standard of living in the last 12 months. That is to say, in 2023, how their standard of living was. 54% said it had gotten worse. 20% said it had improved. 22% said it had not changed, and 4% did not have an opinion on that. Now, the report says that the poll shows a significant increase in the number of voters who said their standard of living had deteriorated. The previous one had indicated that 47%, but as of October 2023, had said that their standard of living had worsened. Now, this one shows that 54. So obviously, there's an increase. The poll also shows that the NDC is on course to form a majority in Parliament, as the generic poll predicts 52% of voters plan to vote for the NDC candidates in the 2024 election, up from 46. So it was 46 in October. Now it is 52, who say that the NDC would form the majority in Parliament. Now, while the MPP is currently on 31 as compared to 38, what that also means is that the MPP has seen a decline between the period of October 2023 and December 2023. On the question of whether the MPP can break the 8, 60% of voters said MPP will not break the 8, compared to 21% who said yes, and there was some 19% who did not have an opinion on this matter. The poll also shows a growing concern of voters in the Ghana Police Service, as 58 say they have confidence in the service to manage the 2024 election. compared to 32 who did not have confidence in the force, while 10% did not have an opinion. So even when you add those without an opinion to those who say no, you still have those who have confidence in the police to manage the election in the majority.
As in providing security
yes,
for the election
in the overwhelming majority of 58%. For the Electoral Commission, majority of voters, 54%, have confidence in the elections management body compared to 38 who have no confidence, and 8% did not have an opinion. Again, when you do the computation, you'd realize that the people who have confidence in the EC to properly manage the election are in the majority of 54. Even those without an opinion, if they decide to change their opinion to be in the negative, it still puts those who have confidence in the EC in the majority.
I see. Now, it's pretty interesting that the direction and the picture that this paints. Dennis, I'm going to come back to you so we conclude, but let's stay a bit further on issues with elections, because the vetting of parliamentary aspirants of the governing Patriotic Party in the Greater Accra region has come to an end. Sitting MPs and fresh aspirants sat through hours of vetting, and my colleague Judith Brown was at the vetting premises and joins us live on the telephone for a quick update on this. You've been on this path for the past, 48 hours, Judith. Tell us, how did they conclude in the areas that you visited today?
Well, so, yes, the vetting center was around Teshi today, and basically they looked at the Ablekuma North constituency, Chobu, Ayawaso Central, Ablekuma West, as well as Amasaman. These were the constituencies that were, the aspirants within those constituencies were vetted today. And so top among those would be probably from the Ablekuma North constituency, and that is Honorable Sheila Batel. She was contending with Nana Ekwewusu. And if you quite recollect, Nana Ekwewusu was a former MP of that exact area, and she was taken over by Sheila Batel in the previous elections. And so she's come back. She wants to contest once again, and she's hoping to beat Sheila Battles this time. She says she's tagging herself as a woman of development. She says that she's been able to develop the area, major parts of the area in her time, and so she's coming back to continue what she started. But with engaging Sheila Battles, she is saying that Ekwewusu only was able to develop the area because at her time she was given some $1 million for development in that area, and Sheila Battles, was not, given such an amount of money due to the economic downturn that she came to meet. And so that is what she was saying. We also spoke to a member of parliament for the Ablekuma West constituency. She also has some contenders, of course, that is Robert Kwesi Nicole, as well as Sylvia Opokumenu. But engaging her, basically, she was talking about her track record. She said she's, of course, developed the area in many ways, and so she believes that the upcoming primaries on January 27 will be determined based on her track record. Of course, we engaged Member of Parliament for Ayawaso Central, Henry Corte. He's also confident of winning the primaries, but his contender, that's one of his contenders, that is Moses Abo. He also is a former youth organizer who resigned earlier, and he is saying that he has the backing of not only the electorate in the area, but also the party stalwarts. So these are quite a number of people that we engaged right there at the Veteran Center today. Of course, it's been a 2-day process, and as of today, we had one person being disqualified. So in all, about 31 aspirants, that included sitting MPs, were vetted basically, and there were 3 disqualifications in all. And so we are yet to see really what would be the outcome of the primaries that is set for January 27. Alfred.
Great stuff. Thank you so much, Judith Brown. Appreciate you for this one. Rounding up what's been happening in the Greater Accra region, the most, as it were, controversial constituencies to look forward to in the NPP. But let's take a listen to Henry Corte, the Greater Accra Regional Minister, who is also an aspirant in that constituency that Judith just ended with.
Well, the NPP believes in democracy. The ideologies that help to shape and form the political party called NPP thrives on democracy. And so everybody is allowed to express his views, his opinion, and also get involved in an election. After all, the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, went through contests 3 times. He emerged as a flag bearer and eventually the president. Dr. Mahmoud Baumia recently went through contest. He emerged as the flag bearer of our party. And so that has been the tradition of NPP. And I don't
3FM
So
92.7.
that's Henry Quartet there. Now, my colleague Grace Amuajiman was at the party's head office where a parliamentary candidate, that's a parliamentary aspirant who was disqualified, has petitioned the appeals committee of the NPP. Kwabena Owusu Amankwa, amongst others, is asking the committee to reinstate him in the race to contest the Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency.
Kwabena Amankwa arrived in the company of his lawyers and some supporters from the Ayawaso West constituency. After his interaction with the party hierarchy, he spoke with the media.
We actually took the step ahead of time and then filed our appeal before the report of the vetting committee. So my understanding is the vetting committee is yet to even present their report. And per the rules of engagement, we are actually on track and we are on time.
The aspirant, who was disqualified for non-payment of his dues as a party member, says he expects a fair hearing from the appeals committee.
I'm actually looking for a review of the decision to disqualify Kwabena Owusu Amankwa Samuel. I think the decision was made inappropriately and out of humility, malice, and out of against the rule of natural justice.
He will face the incumbent Member of Parliament, Lydia Seram Al-Hassan, should the decision to disqualify him be reversed.
So this is the Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency. We're looking quite closely how things will play out there. Meanwhile, the race for who leads the NPP in the remaining constituencies heats up
3FM.
as the disqualified aspirants now take the fight to the party. Delegates began meeting vetting committees in the regions as the party completes its reorganization stage ahead of the 2024 general elections. At least 4 of the aspirants from different constituencies have already been disqualified as of day one. Now, for instance, the Okaikwe South current Member of Parliament, Dakwa Newman, Richard Hagan, as of today, was disqualified for late submission of the forms. In the Ayawaso West Wuogon, as you just heard there, Samuel Amankwa is also challenging that decision to have him disqualified. In the Shaiso constituency, the current Member of Parliament has gone through Dr. Stephen Amwa. There's a petition to stop Kennedy Kankam, who's a municipal chief executive, from contesting. He's been referred to the National Executive Committee. In the Adansia Square constituency, Katie Hammond sought to petition Samuel Benfo Dakwa's decision to contest, but that has also been thrown out by the party. So that's how things are playing out. But Dennis, while we round up on this Global Info Analytics, so what's the takeaway in all of this based on at least the conclusions of Musa Dankwa?
Well, so it essentially says that 11 more months to election. These are the numbers, and this is what it points to, that John Mahama is in the lead, and that's in the space left, that's in 11 months. If something has to be done, it has to be done very quickly to change the fortunes of whichever party is not finding this very comfortable or is not in favor of whichever party.
Dennis, thank you very much for running us through the details of this latest from the Global Info Analytics, putting John Mahama way ahead of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia if elections were held today. This is Hot Edition. We're live on news up here at Desawe Kanda, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, also on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. And now let's give you an update on the situation in Kwanta, where just the last 48 hours there's been a record of another killing as a result of the chieftaincy, this situation there, the dispute in the area. And when we spoke to the minister in the OT region, he had indicated that they were meeting to decide on what next to do, taking into consideration the rather relatively calm situation there in that particular part of the country. So we're monitoring things quite closely. And Thompson Komasukujo is the youth leader in the Chala Youth Association. And they held a press conference today. Chala is one of the two groups, that's ethnic groups, that's said to be involved in this ethnic clashes in the area. Now, I thank you so much for joining us here on Hot Edition. So, what exactly are you demanding of the Regional Security Council?
Yeah, the issue is that there have been some recent killings in Nkwanta, and most often these things were orchestrated by the Achude tribe, by the paramount chief, Nana Obomusu Seura. That's the paramount chief of the Achude. So what they did was they managed to use the MC, the municipal chief executive, to get access to sophisticated weapons to the area, and they are using these weapons to kill innocent people. Now, what we are seeking from His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is this: we want him to take the MCE out. He should change him, because his presence is causing a whole lot of trouble. Now, the third chief is also an appointee of his government. He is the chairman of the OT Land Commission, and he is using that position dubiously to remove some of our towns from even the map of OT region. So we are seeking that he should also be taken out of it and be arrested, because he is the source of the whole problem in the area. These are the reliefs we are seeking.
I see. Now, what specifically has the MCE done to have you asked him to be sacked?
Let me update you on certain things. You see, the MCE last, I think that was 2002. Yeah, 2002. When they wanted to celebrate their Yam Festival, there was a clash there. And his driver, the name by Nana said, his driver, he took a gun from the MC's car and shot one battery man dead. And this man was arrested. And this man was also released again. He was released. And the man is walking free in Nkwanta. And every crime, every killing in Nkwanta, every confusion created in Nkwanta is part of them. Why should he even be part of it? And unfortunately, he has not distanced himself from the attitude of or the conduct of his own driver, and still use him. So it means it's complete orchestration. Now, let me tell you something. The reason I'm attributing it to the MCE is when we petitioned the RESEC, that we petitioned MUSEC, which is the Municipal Security Council, and he could not do anything. So we took the issue to RESEC, the Regional Security Council, OT region. Now, the Regional Security Council instructed them that they should not go ahead with the festival. But this man went and wrote a letter that they have every right to celebrate the festival at anywhere.
Well, we'll see how the coming days will look like, especially because this is a subject of investigation by the Regional Security Council as well. Thompson Gamason Kujo, youth leader for the Chala Youth Association. Thank you for joining us. This is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're live on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly after this quick break. We have business with Juliana Menuaful after this.
Never before seen kind of events that can shape the future of our nation.
It's time now for business segments on Hot Edition with me, Menu Afo. We'll move straight to our first story. And 3 months on, after some farmers were affected by some dam spillage, the Chamber of Agribusiness Ghana is pressing on government the need to update the country on the state of the World Bank funding support. The World Bank, through its Food Systems Resilience Program, earmarked $40 million to support farmers who lost their livelihoods after spillage of excess water from the Akosomo and Pong dams. Chief Executive of the Chamber of Agribusiness Ghana, Anthony Morrison, spoke to 3 Business.
It's been 3 to 4 months since we've had the VRA spillage, and the poor farmers of Ghana, especially in the Eastern, Volta, Oti, and Lower Greater Accra regions, have suffered an enormous damage to their livelihood and economic empowerment. Their crops have totally been submerged and they have lost the very essence of their livelihoods. The World Bank has given Ghana over $40 million in some form of support to mitigate some of these challenges. The Chamber of Agribusiness Ghana, for that matter, is calling on the Minister of Finance, the Greek Minister, and the President to take an urgent action with regards to the upcoming farming season and to disburse the money to the affected individuals and communities so that they can gradually return back into an economic livelihood. Thank you.
That was CEO of Ghana, Anthony Morrison, CEO of Chamber of Agribusiness Ghana. Away from that, the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry has cautioned government against letting its guard down in 2024 as its difficulties from 2023 still persists. In an interview with 3 Business, CEO of the Chamber, Mark Bedu-Abuaji, said his outfit looks forward to policy rate reduction during the Monetary Policies Committee meeting slated to take place before the end of first quarter of 2024.
Inflation coming down. So we expect that at the next Monetary Policy Committee meeting, policy rate will come down and then interest rate will also follow suit. If the taxes that we are paying, of course, there are a number of taxes that are hurting business, and I don't know how within the media government is going to bring some relief to businesses in terms of taxes. Mind you, we are not out of the woods yet. The risk that we experienced in 2022 and 2023 are still hanging on. So we should be cautious and not be overjoyed that we have reached a level that we can all go to sleep and relax and allow the system to continue like that. That will not help businesses and that will not help consumers and also the nation at large.
That was Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mark Bedu-Abuaji. On to more stories. Ghana Union of Traders Association wants government to implement retention policies to control excessive repatriations from the country. In an interview with 3 Business, President of the association, Dr. Joseph Obing, explained that government must act swiftly to save the economy from the resulting excessive cedi depreciation that Ghana suffers at the early times of every year.
When we look at the dominance of the foreigners in our economy, at the end of the year, most of them do their repatriation. The masters of the economy, the Chinese, are going back for their holiday, Chinese holiday, and they took a chunk of money. So it means that we have to adopt a more pragmatic and innovative way, either through our investment laws and all that, to be able to contain this situation. And I've said this, that we, as a nation, we should have a retention policy.
I think by conventional wisdom, if you get into a tournament, you go.
Sorry about the technical hitches. That was the voice of President of GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obing. And in the business segments on Hot Edition, my name is Menuafo. Kelvin Oswansa is in studio with the sports news. Good evening, Kelvin.
Good evening, Manu. Thank you so much for your time. Let's get into the world of sports. Starting from the Ghana Premier League, an outstanding match between Heart of Lions and Dreams FC was played this afternoon at the Hohoi Sports Stadium, and Heart of Lions defeated Dreams FC by a goal to nil, courtesy Pondazi's very good penalty goal that was scored in there. But however, a penalty was missed by Heart of Lions, but the game still ended 1-0 in favor of Lions. It means that Bashir Hayford, after 3 games, has 2 victories. So just a loss in his first game, which he couldn't win. So very unfortunate news coming in there for Dreams FC, who are playing very well in Africa. Now to ace broadcaster Kwabena Yeboah, and he's spoken about Ghana's chances at the 2023 African Nations Cup that will be starting on the 13th of January in Cote d'Ivoire.
I think by conventional wisdom, if you get into a tournament, you go into areas where the climatic conditions are congenial, and you prepare and fine-tune for the main tournament. So I think the uproar was justifiable, and thank God the FA, I want to believe, acquiesced to the pressure. Whether they acquiesced to the pressure or whether it was their decision to go to Kumasi, for now, at least we feel comfortable that we have decided to camp in Ghana. There have been periods where the nation camped in Ghana, went to tournaments and did well. I was privileged to be with the team in 1991 when we camped at the Specialist Training College, where facilities were not the best. We went to AFCON in 92 in Senegal, and we picked silver. So I think it makes a lot of sense to settle in Ghana. And once all the boys are comfortable with that, and the management and the technical team are comfortable, I think we can end the conversation here.
So that conversation can be ended, according to Kwabena Yeboah. Now still on the AFCON 2023, and Confederation of Africa Football CAF has announced a 40% increase in prize money for the upcoming tournament in Cote d'Ivoire. Now the winner of the tournament will now receive an impressive $7 million, while the runner-up will take home $4 million. The financial rewards for the semi-finalists and quarter-finalists have also been increased, with each semi-finalist earning $2.5 million and each quarter-finalist receiving $1.3 million. This is a significant increase in prize money and expected to raise the stakes and intensify the competition, making 2023 AFCON even more thrilling. So that is it there. Also from the Africa Cup of Nations, and some news on that is Rafa Nadal. Yes, he's been performing well since his return from injury, and he says every day is an adventure after he cruised into the Brisbane International quarterfinals on his return from a hip injury, playing just his second singles match after almost a year out. Nadal was in control throughout the 6-1, 6-2 win over Australia's Jason Kubler. So that is also from Rafa Nadal. Let's take a quick look at some of the matches coming up this evening in the Spanish La Liga. Santander, yesterday Real Madrid managed a victory, so Barcelona will be hoping to catch up on them. Osasuna earlier defeated Almeria by goal to nil. 6:15, Sevilla will play against Athletic Club, and Las Palmas will play against FC Barcelona. That game is at 8:30 p.m. That will be all for sport. My name is Kelvin Olson. Zakofa comes your way with entertainment.
Thank you for keeping your dial on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. It's now time for the entertainment news segment powered by 3 Entertainment. My name is Akofa. Ghanaian dancehall sensation Kaki has dispelled rumors of her exit from the music scene. In an interview on the 3FM Drive with Giovanni and AJ Sapong, the artiste clarified that there has been no official statement or write-up indicating a pause in her music career, and also officially announcing that she's coming back onto the music scene.
First off, Well, if I have to use, like, I don't want to give, I will say a few.
Okay.
Regardless, it could be like twisted and turned in so many ways. But it didn't matter. Number one, I would say that, like, be yourself. In my mind, though. No, but wait a minute. I didn't put up any write-up. I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
So
it's
why?
a silence that is loud. No?
I guess.
Very loud.
Yeah.
You just you do aviator on us. Aviator.
I guess, but then I didn't put anything out there that I had stopped music.
So you never actually stopped music?
I haven't.
You
Because
just...
then I didn't say I stopped.
No, but you sing it to your husband, your neighbors. We don't want that one.
But
commercial.
But you know when I see the stories and stuff, I just laugh because before I got married, like I went to school.
Okay.
So. I mean, would you now say I stopped music to go to school?
No.
Think about it. Yeah, it's not fair. Is it? Poor guy.
Oh, Charlie. Oh, everyone.
Actually, I came in purposely to by God's grace, I'm coming back into the scene.
What?
Yes, and we're working.
This is official.
Wow.
Official. Ladies and gentlemen, the dancehall queen is back.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Officially.
I love that.
We're working.
You're coming back as leader.
I haven't just been silent. Like I've been like working like behind the scenes, and I haven't been alone throughout that. Like I've had like genuine support from my husband who's been pushing me, finding stuff like that. I have also like met people that like were in the scene or still are in the scene.
Well, staying a while longer on the dancehall queen, Kaki used the opportunity to share some advice to young female artists.
First off, well, if I have to use, like, I don't want to give, I will say a few.
Okay.
Regardless, it could be like twisted and turned in so many ways. But it didn't matter. Number one, I would say that, like, be yourself. And for everyone, the fingers are different. And people will discover themselves like as soon as they come in, and people will discover themselves much later. And it doesn't mean that like you're lacking behind or anything. There's just a time for everybody. So once you get your time, you will know, basically. And in all of it, whether you discover yourself early or late, just be comfortable in your skin, basically.
And that ends it for the entertainment news segment here on Hot Edition, powered by 3 Entertainment. My name is Akofa. Thank you for your time.